Most people don't leave companies. They leave leaders. They leave when they feel invisible. They leave when they're treated like numbers, resources, or tools instead of human beings. And the real cost isn't just turnover. It's trust, energy, creativity, and belief. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking responsibility for the people in your charge. When leaders put people first, something powerful happens. Fear is replaced with trust. Compliance is replaced with commitment, and average teams become unstoppable. But when leaders put themselves first, ego first, power first, results first, people disengage. They show up physically, but they've already checked out mentally. This isn't a soft idea. It's not about being nice. It's about survival. Because in a world moving faster than ever, the only sustainable advantage any leader has is how safe, valued, and inspired their people feel. Great leaders don't ask, how do I get more from my people? They ask, how do I take better care of them? That's where loyalty is born. That's where innovation lives. That's where leadership begins. Leadership is a responsibility, not a reward, because the moment a man is given authority, his comfort no longer matters more than the people who depend on him. Many men are taught, directly or subtly, that leadership is a prize to be earned, a position that proves strength, intelligence, or dominance. But real leadership begins where ego ends. From a man's perspective, this is confronting, because it requires replacing the instinct to protect status with the discipline to protect people. Men often carry the psychological weight of being expected to provide, decide, and remain unshaken. Yet leadership demands something even harder: emotional restraint and moral courage. A leader cannot lead from impulse or pride. He must lead from consistency and self-control. When a man uses power to elevate himself, people feel it immediately. When he uses power to serve others, people respond with trust rather than fear. Women experience leadership differently, especially under male authority, because they are often the first to sense whether leadership is secure or performative. A leader who seeks reward projects insecurity, and insecurity creates unpredictability. When a man leads with responsibility instead of entitlement, women feel safer to contribute fully, speak honestly, and challenge ideas without fear of consequence. Men, too, are shaped by the leader above them, often mirroring behavior they observe rather than principles they respect. When leadership is treated as a reward, men compete, posture, and guard territory. When leadership is treated as a duty, men cooperate, grow, and protect one another. Responsibility creates brotherhood. Rewards create rivalry. Leadership tests a man not when he is praised, but when he is tired, challenged, or unrecognized. The true measure of leadership is how consistently a man chooses the long-term well-being of people over the short-term satisfaction of being right, admired, or obeyed. People don't work for companies. They work for leaders because companies are just structures, logos, and policies. Men, in particular, respond to leadership the way they respond to trust and respect. A man can tolerate chaos, handle long hours, and face challenges, but he will not give his full effort to a faceless organization. He gives his energy, loyalty, and creativity to the person who demonstrates integrity, fairness, and courage in leadership. Leadership triggers a deep psychological need in men to follow someone who models strength and accountability. When a man sees a leader taking responsibility for both success and failure, he feels safe to commit fully. But if leadership is about titles, hierarchy, or self-interest, men instinctively disengage. They stay physically present, but mentally they withdraw, protecting their energy and pride from being exploited. From a woman's perspective, leadership shapes whether they feel valued and included. Women instinctively notice whether male leaders act from responsibility or self-interest. A leader who prioritizes people over profit, recognition, or ego signals safety, predictability, and fairness. Women are more willing to invest creativity and voice when they see leaders genuinely care about the humans behind the roles. Men also observe how leaders treat others before they decide to invest themselves. Brotherhood is formed when leadership is about guidance, protection, and mutual respect, not about asserting dominance or enforcing rules. Men follow leaders who create a sense of purpose and belonging, not those who demand compliance out of fear. The workplace becomes more than a transaction when leadership is human-centered. A man's motivation, a woman's contribution, and a team's innovation all hinge on one truth: leadership matters more than the company. because people connect with people, not with logos, policies, or profit margins. The energy and loyalty of any team flow only when leaders earn it every day through presence, empathy, and unwavering responsibility. Trust is built before results are ever achieved, because men instinctively measure leadership by consistency, integrity, and presence long before any goals are met. A man doesn't follow someone simply because they have a plan or a title. He follows someone he believes will act predictably, make tough decisions, and protect the people who rely on him. Without that trust, effort becomes transactional, loyalty fades, and performance suffers, no matter how promising the results might look on paper. Men often equate leadership with strength, but real strength is own in reliability, not in command. A leader who consistently shows up, honors commitments, and takes responsibility, even when it's uncomfortable, creates a psychological environment where men feel safe to give more than what is asked. Conversely, a leader who prioritizes results over people erodes confidence, triggering instinctive self-preservation. Men may comply, but they do not invest themselves emotionally or intellectually. Women also perceive trust differently, often scanning for authenticity, fairness, and respect. A man in a position of authority can inspire confidence by demonstrating that he values people over short-term outcomes. When trust is present, women contribute ideas, challenge assumptions, and collaborate without fear of judgment or reprisal. When trust is absent, silence, withdrawal, and hesitation take its place. No matter how talented the team, building trust requires patience, presence, and accountability. Men respond to leaders who are transparent about their limitations and intentional in their support, while women respond to leaders who are consistent, empathetic, and protective of the team dynamic. Trust is not a byproduct of success. It is the foundation on which every achievement rests. Men and women alike mirror the trust they see modeled in leadership. When leaders act responsibly and prioritize relationships over immediate results, people engage fully, take risks, and collaborate creatively. Without trust, even the clearest vision cannot mobilize a team, because loyalty, commitment, and courage are earned long before any measurable success is realized. When people feel safe, they perform at their best, because safety is the invisible fuel that drives courage, focus, and creativity. Men, in particular, are wired to assess risk and protect their pride and autonomy. When a leader creates an environment where mistakes are treated as learned opportunities rather than punishable failures, men are more willing to take ownership, innovate, and push boundaries. Safety allows them to move from self-preservation to contribution. Psychologically, men measure safety by the predictability and fairness of the leader. A man will respond to pressure with confidence if he trusts that the person leading him will act consistently, defend him when needed, and hold everyone, including themselves, to the same standard. When safety is absent, fear dominates decisions, risk-taking disappears, and energy is spent protecting oneself rather than advancing the team's goals. From a woman's perspective, safety extends beyond physical or operational concerns. It is relational and emotional. Women are quick to sense whether leadership fosters respect, fairness, and transparency. When leaders demonstrate they care about the people behind the roles, women feel empowered to share ideas, challenge assumptions, and take initiative. A lack of safety, even subtle, silences voices, diminishes creativity, and undermines collaboration. Safety is not weakness. It is strategic courage. It allows men to step beyond ego-driven instincts and for women to fully contribute their intelligence and insight. Leaders who prioritize creating a secure environment where honesty is valued, vulnerability is respected, and mistakes are treated as growth unlock the full potential of their team. Performance is rarely about talent alone. It is about environment. Men rise to the occasion when they feel their effort is protected and their judgment trusted. Women rise to the occasion when they know their contributions will be heard, respected, and amplified. True leadership is measured not by the directives given, but by the degree to which people feel safe enough to do their best work. Ego destroys teams. Service builds them, because when men lead from self-interest, the first casualties are trust, collaboration, and motivation. Men are often socialized to equate leadership with dominance, control, and winning at all costs. The moment ego dictates decisions, people feel assessed, judged, and secondary. Loyalty is replaced by caution, innovation by compliance, and energy by skepticism. Men will work for someone they respect, but they rarely follow someone they fear or envy. Service flips the script entirely. A leader who sees his role as serving the people around him taps into a fundamental psychological truth. Men respond to leaders who make sacrifices on behalf of the team, not on behalf of their image. When a man in authority prioritizes others' growth, safety, and well-being, men and women alike feel seen, valued, and motivated to rise above mediocrity. Service signals humility, courage, and authenticity, all traits that inspire effort and commitment. From a man's perspective, service requires discipline. It is not about being soft or agreeable. It is about making choices that protect the group, even when it is inconvenient or unrewarding. Men are drawn to leaders who act with integrity, hold themselves accountable, and make the tough calls in alignment with principles rather than ego. They mirror those actions in their own behavior, creating a culture of mutual respect and shared responsibility. Women experience service differently but equally powerfully. When male leaders lead with genuine care, they feel safe to voice ideas, take initiative, and trust the process. Service signals reliability and predictability, creating space for women to contribute fully without fear of exploitation or dismissal. Ego-driven leadership, by contrast, triggers heightened vigilance, self-censorship, and disengagement. Teams thrive when service becomes the operating principle. Men rise to challenges when they know the leader has their back. WOM. And contribute creativity and insight when they feel supported and respected. Ego may win a moment, but service creates momentum, loyalty, and resilience that outlasts any short-term gain. Leadership is strongest when it is measured not by authority exercised, but by the extent to which the leader elevates others before himself. Putting people first is the only strategy that creates sustainable leadership, because men instinctively follow those who prioritize human needs over personal gain. Men are wired to respect authority that protects, supports, and elevates the team. When leadership focuses on short-term results, titles, or status, men respond with caution, self-preservation, and minimal investment. When leadership focuses on people first, men engage fully, take responsibility, and act with courage beyond what is required. Psychologically, men crave clarity and trust in their leaders. They need to feel that the person in charge is not seeking recognition, power, or ego satisfaction, but is genuinely concerned with their welfare. A man's loyalty is earned when he sees that sacrifices are made for the team, not for personal glory. He measures leadership by consistency, fairness, and the ability to stand behind people during challenges. When those needs are met, he gives more than effort. He gives belief, dedication, and creative energy. Women perceive leadership through relational and emotional cues. They notice whether leaders create an environment where respect, inclusion, and fairness are foundational. Women thrive under leaders who put people first because safety, trust, and recognition become the framework for collaboration. When leadership is transactional or self-serving, women become cautious, withholding insight and energy to protect themselves. When leadership is human-centered, women feel empowered to take initiative, challenge ideas, and contribute fully. Putting people first is not about being nice. It is strategic. Men respond to leaders who model responsibility, service, and accountability, and they mirror that behavior in their interactions. Women respond to leaders who model respect, transparency, and fairness, and they amplify that influence by bringing their best ideas forward. Leadership becomes a force multiplier when people feel valued, protected, and inspired, because engagement flows naturally from human connection, not from directives or threats. Leaders who put people first create cultures that withstand pressure, uncertainty, and competition. Men rise to challenges when they know their effort is noticed, appreciated, and supported. Women contribute courageously when they know their voices are heard and trusted. Organizations that prioritize results over people achieve temporary gains, but those that prioritize people cultivate loyalty, innovation, and resilience. Human-centered leadership transforms energy into action, fear into trust, and compliance into commitment, proving that the success of any team begins with the people it serves.